Hello Facebook Live, and it's time for another edition of Tune Up Tuesday. I'm Douglas Addington from St. Matthews Imports. What I'd like to talk about today is just a simple procedure of changing a flat tire on the side of the road or in a parking lot. It seems like a simple process, but quite honestly, if you've never really done it or looked at it or experienced it, then maybe it's a little intimidating. But thought we'd just walk through the simple steps of changing a flat tire. We've kind of got a model set up here, and I'm going to go to each station to kind of show you what to do. So the first thing to do is in the trunk is to locate your spare tire and tool kit. It'll a lot of times come in a piece of foam like this or some kind of baggage where it puts the tools in an organized area to keep them from rattling. So we've already got that out of the trunk, and we've found the jack and our hand tools here. Likely the hardest part of the whole project is figuring out how the tools go together, because every manufacturer does it a little different. This one seems to be pretty straightforward though. So we've got a scissor jack here. First thing we're going to do, put the parking brake on the car so it doesn't roll, put it in gear, shut it off, make sure the area's safe and you're out of the way of traffic. So we're going to jack the car up. We'll pretend this is our flat tire, and you'll see that this jack has a grooved area on top. And there's a flange on the bottom side of the car. And that flange sets down in this jack. And usually there's some sort of markers on the bottom of the car that tell you where to put the jack. It'll either have an arrow or it'll have a rubber pad. This particular car has a little cutout in the plastic from here to here, showing you where to put the jack. So we'll put the jack in it, and we'll twist this thing up like this so that the pinch weld goes down in that groove. There we go. So we've got the jack started. What we want to do before we pick the car up, these lug nuts are about 80 pounds of torque. So once the car's off the ground, it's going to be tough to get those loose without the wheel spinning. So what I suggest first is, before we ever lift the car up, after we got the parking brake on, let's go ahead and break these lug nuts loose. We've got a lug wrench here. It's designed to fit this bolt. And remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, so we're going to back these nuts off counterclockwise. And since we're backing them off, I want to be able to use my weight to turn this thing counterclockwise. So I will turn the wrench this fashion. I'll use my foot here, and I'll just push down like that till it breaks loose. We want to turn each one about a quarter to a half of a turn, like so. That one we'll have to do twice. And last one there. So we've got all of them broke loose. That way when we pick the car up, it is easy to take the lug nuts the rest of the way off. This thing will hook in here. This particular one's got a square hole there. And we're going to go ahead and jack the car up. Until we're about an inch off the ground there. The spare tire is much smaller, so as long as that tire's off the ground, that's all you're going to have to do. So after the car's in the air, or matter of fact, before I just show you on this wheel, since we've already broke the lug nuts loose. So once these are going to be easy to turn. So we put it back on here, and we just carefully start spinning these lug nuts off. They'll fall on the ground every time, seems like. So we'll take all 5 of these lug nuts off, and we'll walk around to the car. I'll show you. I've already got one off. So once we've got the car in the air, we take all 5 off. We set the tire aside. We get our temporary space saver tire. Almost all cars nowadays come with these space savers. They're designed as a temporary tire. They will You know, you shouldn't really drive long periods of time or, you know, a lot of miles. It's really just designed to get you to a service facility to get your tire fixed. So we're going to go ahead and line up the wheel and the lug studs. We're going to get all of our lug nuts started. Like so. And we just use the simple reverse method, righty-tighty, and we'll spin these things down. At this point, you kind of just want to snug them up. You also want to, when you tighten them down, start with your first one. You always want to go diagonally. Don't go in a circle like this. You go from here to here, to here, to here, to here. And it doesn't matter which direction or way, as long as you're just going diagonally across the wheel. You could go here or here, either way. So we've got that one. Next we'll do this one. If you have 4 lug nuts, like a lot of cars, you just go crossways, or 6. Like I said, just make a star pattern. So your hand snug up all of your lug nuts. At this point, you lower the car back down, just the reverse action of jacking it up. And then the last thing you do, we'll kind of show an example on this, is car's back on the ground. We want to take that back, and of course we don't have torque wrenches. We don't know what 80 pounds is, but I can kind of tell you that it's better to have it a little too tight than a little too loose. So we want this lug wrench facing forward so that when we are clockwise tightening it, that we're pushing down, we're using our body weight on it, and we can just give it a good snug. Matter of fact, you can even put a little leg weight into it too, but honestly, just, especially if you're a small person, you just want to get those pretty good and tight. This is only a temporary solution, so we're going to a repair shop anyway, and they'll get you fixed up and get the lug studs back in the right torque. So, hope this finds helpful. Refer back to this if you need to, and that's another edition of Tune Ups Tuesday. Thank you for visiting.